Hi, I'm W. This is my intentional living channel, and today I just wanted to talk about a book I just finished. It's Somebody's Gotta Do It. It's about running for local office. I'm actually running for office. I'm running for my city's common council, which is basically the city council. As a little bit of background, a couple of years ago I ran across Amanda Littman's Run for Something, and I bought it just as a way to I feel like in college I saw things happening politically that I didn't agree with, like, for example, in Hillsborough County, Florida, the Hillsborough County Commission banned county expressions of gay pride, and for that reason there wasn't a pride parade in Tampa for a really long time. Local libraries were sort of banned from having LGBT library displays because one of the county commissioners decided that it wasn't good for children to see acceptance of the LGBT community. But I just saw a lot of things that I didn't agree with, like blatant lying in the political sphere, corruption, greed, the the elevation of corporations over people. So as things just kept progressing and I got older, I just felt like when I was younger I didn't do enough to become involved. I didn't do enough to talk about my beliefs or what I felt was right, or even let elected officials know whether or not I agreed with what they were doing as their constituent. So when I moved to Appleton, Wisconsin, I decided to become a lot more involved in the community. I've gone to a lot of city council meetings, I've gone to different city committee meetings, I've gotten involved in volunteering, which I've always been involved with, and I've just done a lot more participation in community events, and I think that as a whole it's made my life happier and better. But about, I'd say, May of, 2018, I saw Run for Something at the Room of One's Own bookstore in Madison, Wisconsin at a conference, and I just felt like I wanted to get more involved at the policy level. I have a journalism and background, and I actually covered politics for small towns in Florida for a while, and I, even as a child, was really into politics and would read the paper and listen to political commentary at a young age. And as I got older, I sort of gave a lot of that up and didn't think about it, but moving to Wisconsin has made me realize that I really do care about policy, and I really do think it's interesting to look at zoning laws and who they serve and who they sort of keep back. And I live in a city where I feel like, for the most part, the people who run the city really do see the dignity in every person and try to elevate the residents of Appleton and try to support their interests and talents in a way that has not been the case in basically any other city that I've lived in before. So I'd say maybe around 2 years ago, I just got more serious about being interested in local politics. I wasn't quite sure how that would look, but I did feel like I was interested in running for common council, and I sort of put out feelers for a while, and I got to know a little bit my current alder person and some of the other alder people on the Common Council, and just figured out like what issues that I cared about, and I try to keep track of like what's on the budget, what the mayor's doing, what different departments in the city are doing. And so getting back to the actual purpose of this video, which is reviewing Somebody's Gotta Do It, which is by Adrienne Martini. So this is a pretty good, I'd say, primer on running for office. Run for Something has a lot of the sort of step-by-step, here's how to think about running. Here are the steps that you could take at different levels of office, whether it's like local, school board, state. Here are some resources if you're interested in running. So it's much more of sort of a how-to manual. And so as someone who has always been interested, I guess, in politics, even though I might not have considered that to be the case a while ago, I think that I always really have been interested in politics. That was, I think, on the level of what I really needed at the time. It gave me the steps that I need to take to start really considering it. I reached out to some folks in Appleton and got even more advice on what I should do. I got involved in volunteering for some local campaigns this year, which was an invaluable experience. However, if you're not interested in politics but just feel helpless, or you're not quite sure how the system works, or you have a vague idea about running but just don't know a whole lot, I think that Somebody's Gotta Do It is a good first step to even see if you're interested. So I feel like Adrienne's story wasn't the perfect story for me to read for a lot of different reasons, but I feel like she does a good job of sort of explaining her experience and like coming to the decision to run, like how the 2016 election affected her, her life experience up to that point, like even what she ran for a county position, so like what that means in the long run. Some of the things that you need to consider if you're going to run for office is whether or not you can handle like the time commitment. So in her case, she has a once a month meeting that could last 5 or more hours each time, and it's during the work day. And that is definitely not the case in all places. Like Appleton's city council meetings are at night, and they are twice a month. And I have friends that hold different positions in different cities where they might have 1 or 2 meetings a month that are pretty like non-committal. If you don't want to run for like an actual office, there are often committees you can volunteer for as a member of a city or a county. So there are a lot of different options. I think that, so this covers her running through, I think the first year of office, or maybe the first 2 years of office. And she also includes the stories of some other folks who have run for different offices as well. There's definitely a Democratic bent to this, so a very big emphasis on the Democratic Party. Depending on what your political affiliation is, you may or may not be interested in it, but even if you're not a Democrat, I do suggest reading this if you're interested in running for office, just because she talks a lot about the different steps in running for office, including asking for campaign donations, how much her materials cost, figuring out how many votes she needed to get for her county. So there's just a lot of good information of things that you need to think about if you're gonna run, but they're not, like, the one thing that I did really like about this was that it's, like, I like the dry sort of format for Run for Something, but this is not dry. This is like a real world example of a person that ran, and how that sort of breaks down. It's a little bit scattered, so like in my mind, the stories of other folks were helpful, but I'm not sure they were transitioned super great. It does talk about, like, I guess, sacrifices that she had to make in order to run, sort of juggling family and running. So, like I said, even if you're not sure that you want to run, or you're just not sure, like if you don't know how the system in the US is run, like how the government is run, I really do feel like somebody's got to do it is good, because I feel like a lot of people don't have a good idea of local government and what it takes to run, but also don't necessarily understand that there are real people that are probably your neighbors, especially at the local level. It could be your next door neighbor who is on a board or a committee, or like on the city council. So I just feel like this is really good to give you a perspective on just like the ins and outs of how the government really works at the local level, but also just like it isn't a cabal of shadow figures that are running your local utility board. It's probably a person that lives 2 blocks down the street from you who sometimes has people scream at them for like decisions they made on, or even just like bad service, like utility service that they've received. So I do recommend Somebody's Gotta Do It. I think I saw this on John Scalzi's blog. John Scalzi is a science fiction writer and often has breakdowns of books that are usually science fiction and fantasy or other genre, like speculative fiction genres. But this was on here, and I think that it's pretty good. It's labeled a memoir, so understand that you might not get like a step-by-step checklist of how to run, but if you just want more information of what running for office could look like, or what the day-to-day reality of being on a board or a committee could be, then this is a good book to check out, because there isn't a whole lot of information from regular folks who have regular jobs, and I don't know, like if I run for office, like I have a full-time job, so I'll have to juggle everything. Like I'm running for office, if I get elected, I'll have to juggle everything. It's something that I'm not too worried about, but it's just a way to sort of get the nitty-gritty of what running for office entails. So that is a book recommendation that I have, and also if you're thinking about running for office, then Run for This is definitely also a good option. If you're interested in seeing more book reviews or seeing more of the running for office process on my end, let me know in the comments. My face is very red, and I think that it's from going out in winter weather, so I guess I will have to moisturize my face tonight, but I hope that everybody is safe this winter and warm and cozy, and that everyone has a good night.